My first studio job was at a place called Don Elliott Productions. And I got that job because the night before I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he was in the business. He was Don Elliott's cousin, and he was a jingle writer. He used to write commercials, but he was the engineer for Don. So he wanted to have more time to write so he could do more musical stuff. So he asked if I would be interested in, did I want to be an engineer? And I had no idea what that was. I said, what's that? He says, it's a lot of fun. You'll have a good time. I can only pay you $25 a week, just enough to eat, but it's fun. You'll have a good time. And something told me to do it, and so I took this job. It was interesting because Bob is a huge musical talent, very accomplished musician, and can be kind of a dominating kind of person. And I don't think the band, especially Gene and Paul, were used to that. So it was kind of fun. And actually, an interesting thing happened was they were doing a take, and then somebody made a mistake, and the band just stopped. And Bob gets on the talkback and says, don't you ever stop a take unless I tell you. And Gene and Paul especially were looking at each other like, who is this guy, you know? Peter and Ace, you know, they kind of just rolled with it, you know. So that became like the joke of the album. Stephen didn't always have lyrics ready. So lots of times he was writing lyrics in the studio. Lots of times Jack and Stephen would take a walk in the Times Square area, because that time period in that location, you would walk past drug dealers and, you know, lots of strange characters out in the street. And it was lots of material for lyrics just by taking a walk, just what you would hear in the buzz in the street. This happened to be a Sunday when they were going to take their walk to get inspired, but there was no one out because it was a Sunday afternoon. So Jack says, let's take a break and let's go to the movies. And at that time, Young Frankenstein was playing. It had just come out. So we went, and in the movie there's a scene where Marty Feldman says to Gene Wilder, walk this way.
Walk this way. This way.
So everybody thought that was really funny. We went back to the studio, and Jack kept the joke going. He said, walk this way, walk this way. And after laughing about it for a while, Stephen said, that's it, that's the line. And that inspired him to write the lyrics for Walk This Way. We had finished the whole record, the whole song of Sweet Emotion, and we were mixing it, but the bass in the intro, the bass line in the intro, and where that line comes back in again after the first chorus, it just didn't have a certain punch to it, and it was just missing some definition on the notes. And Jack knew that I used to play vibes, and he says, what about if you play marimba and double the bass line on marimba? And I said, well, that would be great. It would even be better if we played bass marimba. If I played bass marimba, it would match the bass sound a little better. So that's what we did. We rented a bass marimba, and after a few takes, I doubled the bass line, and it was great. It really did add an extra little attack to the bass, to each note. And the funny thing was, the next time I saw Tom Hamilton, who was a co-writer of that song, he had already listened to it, and he loved it so much he gave me a big hug when he first saw me, and And that just added to the whole thrill of it for me. And it's just great. And every time I hear it on the radio, it's always an extra thrill knowing that I played on it. So it was fun. I guess the biggest change that I see is a lot of the music that I work on now, that I'm involved with now, I don't always see real players, real people playing. And that's the biggest thing that I miss from when I first got started in recording. I would do maybe 3 different sessions in one day, and all 3 different projects, and a band would come in and then they'd leave, and another band would come in. Lots of stuff now is just, it's already pre-recorded, it's synthesized sounds, and I miss that human element in the music today.